Africa. Paragraph 1. We act for Shoprite Checkers Proprietary Limited and refer to your letter dated 11 June 2026. Paragraph 2. Please find below Shoprite's responses to the various questions set out in Annexure A to the letter. Paragraph 3. For convenience, we have repeated your questions in bold, italicized text with Shoprite's responses following thereafter. Paragraph 4. Before addressing each question in turn, Shoprite wishes to record its support for the Commission's commitment to advancing the constitutional right to food, as guaranteed under Section 27(1)(b) of the Constitution, and to confirm its willingness to engage constructively with the inquiry. Shoprite's submissions below are intended to demonstrate that the competitive dynamics within South Africa's food retail sector, including sustained investment by the Shoprite Group in price leadership, supply chain infrastructure, and inclusive procurement, are delivering measurable improvements in food affordability and security, and that these outcomes are best sustained through continued market-based competition rather than regulatory price intervention. Paragraph 5. The Shoprite Group reserves the right to supplement this written submission in future if required. That ends the cover letter. The submission then proceeds with the answers to the 21 questions from the Human Rights Commission. Paragraph 6. Concentration of power in the food value chain. Question 1. Please describe the company's position and role within the South African food value chain. 6.1. As South Africa's largest food retailer, the Shoprite Group occupies a systemically important position in the national food value chain and plays a central role in supporting food access, affordability, and economic stability. Its operations connect local food production to consumers at national scale, underpinning the constitutional right of access to sufficient food. 6.2. Upstream, the Shoprite Group provides market access to thousands of South African farmers and food manufacturers. Through its Fresh Mark division, approximately 95% of fresh produce sold is sourced locally, including from small and emerging farmers. This creates predictable demand, strengthens domestic agricultural capacity, and supports rural livelihoods. The Shoprite Group complements this with inclusive procurement and supplier development, spending 146.5 billion rand on BBBEE compliant suppliers in financial year 2025, thereby broadening participation in the formal food economy. Across the midstream of the value chain, the Shoprite Group operates one of the largest and most resilient food logistics networks in Africa. With 29 distribution centers and integrated transport and cold chain infrastructure, the Shoprite Group ensures reliable daily delivery of food across all provinces, including rural and low-income communities. This capability has proven resilient during periods such as the COVID-19 pandemic, the 2021 civil unrest, energy constraints, and broader supply shocks, and is critical to preventing shortages and maintaining food and, importantly, medicine availability at scale. 6.4. Downstream, the Shoprite Group's more than 3,600 stores, spanning all income segments, ensure that food is physically accessible to households nationwide. The Shoprite Group's scale enables sustained price leadership, allowing essential foods to be sold at the lowest possible prices through operational efficiency rather than regulatory intervention. This includes long-standing subsidized staple offerings such as 5 Rand bread, with approximately 1.8 million subsidized 5 Rand items sold every week. By December 2025, 14,400 products were cheaper year on year, and internal food inflation had fallen to a 7-year low, directly protecting household budgets during a period of significant economic pressure. 6.5. Through its Extra Savings Rewards program, the Shoprite Group has saved customers a cumulative 55 billion rand in cash since the program's inception in 2019, further demonstrating its sustained commitment to consumer affordability. 6.6. The impact of the Shoprite Group's sustained price discipline is corroborated by independent research. The South African Food Security Index 2025, an annual index produced by development economists from Stellenbosch University and commissioned by the Shoprite Group, rose from 44.9 in 2023 to 56.5 in 2024, the most significant year-on-year improvement in the index's history. The principal driver of this improvement was greater food price stability. This confirms that competitive market dynamics within the retail sector are delivering measurable food security improvements
Prof, can
without
I
the
just
need for
apologies
regulatory price intervention.
for interrupting? I do see that there are colleagues that are in the room that are still standing. Can I just ask that we sit and just respect the process? Thank you.
6.7. The Shoprite Group's role in the food system is closely linked to employment and the public interest. As South Africa's largest private sector employer, the Shoprite Group directly employs more than 170,000 people across its operations, of whom over 62% are women and 39.6% are under the age of 30, providing development and career prospects at scale. Between the 2021 and 2025 financial years, the group created 30,945 new direct jobs, including 8,723 in financial year 2025 alone, making it a major contributor to employment stability in a high unemployment economy. 6.8. The Shoprite Group's sustainability is further linked to the public interest through its ownership structure. Its largest shareholder is the Government Employees Pension Fund, South Africa's largest pension fund for public sector employees, which holds approximately 17.9% of issued share capital, valued at around 28.5 billion rand. The group's performance and dividend distributions therefore contribute directly to the retirement savings of millions of civil servants and pensioners. 6.9. Another significant public interest shareholder of the Shoprite Group is its employees through the Shoprite Employee Trust. Established in 2022, the SET is an evergreen, non-vesting BBBEE employee benefit trust that holds 40 million Shoprite shares, valued at approximately 8.9 billion rand at inception, for the benefit of eligible employees. Qualifying South African employees receive semi-annual distributions via units in the trust. The trust is funded primarily through notional vendor financing, which includes an initial 888 million rand capital contribution. Its establishment increased effective black ownership in Shoprite to approximately 19.2%. The Shoprite Employee Trust is governed by a board of trustees and subject to standard financial reporting and audit oversight. 6.10. At the same time, the Shoprite Group invests materially in hunger relief and food security, serving 222,349 meals per day in vulnerable communities and 1.9 million meals per annum in early childhood development centers. These interventions complement but do not substitute for the Shoprite Group's core role in maintaining a functioning, affordable, and resilient food system. 6.11. The Shoprite Group operates under a formal human rights policy and supplier code of conduct aligned with South African law and international standards on labor rights, ethical sourcing, and food safety, with oversight at board level. Through its scale, the Shoprite Group is able to reinforce compliance and raise standards across the food value chain. 6.12. In summary, the Shoprite Group submits that its sustainable business operations underpin food availability, affordability, employment, and systemic stability. There is then a figure which shows various numbers such as number of staff, jobs created, number of stores, community food gardens. I will now move on to paragraph 7, which answers the question, what market share does the company hold within its primary product categories and geographic areas of operation? 7.1. In accordance with industry practice, Shoprite does not publish market share percentages, as the informal sector and significant parts of the formal sector's market shares and data are not readily available. The informal sector competes with corporate retail groups, as also reported in the final report of the Fresh Produce Market Inquiry, where the Competition Commission noted that, quote, the majority of South Africans fall within LSM levels 1 to 3, and their buying habits mirror their economic status. In this regard, consumers within this LSM will tend to purchase from street hawkers or retail brands such as Boxer and Shoprite Checkers, for example. 7.2. In the Competition Commission's final Fresh Produce Market Inquiry report, it found that, quote, in terms of a broader market delineation, ShopRite Checkers leads the competition with a market share of between 24 and 34%. In this broad market delineation, it is thus not outrightly dominant in terms of Section 7 of the Act, and evidence of market power will be required to prove if ShopRite Checkers is a dominant firm. 7.3. While the FPMI focused on fresh produce, independent research confirms the role of the informal sector in grocery retailing as a whole. In the South African Food Security Index 2025, the informal food economy contributes approximately 205 billion rand per year in turnover and accounts for an estimated 20% of retail food sales. This significant informal sector activity is largely unrecorded, rendering market share calculations assumption-based, unaudited, and unstable over time. 7.4. A recent report, 2025, by Trade Intelligence also emphasized the role of the informal sector. Quote, despite rapid corporate expansion, the informal retail sector remains a significant player in South Africa's FMCG environment. Growth in the informal space was up 5.2% in 2024, with proximity and convenience continuing to drive shopper loyalty. Spaza shops and township outlets have retained relevance, particularly for small, frequent shopping missions and cash-based shoppers. 7.5. The ShopRite Group accordingly only publishes verifiable indicators of competitive performance, including formal market growth in rand terms and sustained trends consistent with industry practice. Paragraph 8 answers the question from the Human Rights Commission on anti-competitive practices. And the question is, the Competition Commission's Grocery Retail Market Inquiry Report of 2019 made adverse findings against supermarkets, and it recommended several remedial actions. For example, quote, national supermarket chains must with immediate effect cease from enforcing exclusivity provisions in their lease agreements against other grocery retailers, end quote. Please indicate the extent to which your organization has implemented or engaged with the remedial actions arising from the Competition Commission's Grocery Retail Market Inquiry. And this is ShopRite's response. 8.1. The ShopRite Group concluded a settlement agreement with the Competition Commission, which was confirmed by the Competition Tribunal on 9 October 2020, which addressed the principal remedial action applicable to it arising from the Grocery Retail Market Inquiry. 8.2. The ShopRite Group has provided the Competition Commission with ongoing monitoring and compliance updates and has demonstrated its ongoing adherence to the terms of the settlement agreement. Paragraph 9, Section 2, Price Formation and Food Affordability. And the question from the Commission is, how does your organization monitor the affordability of key staple foods for lower income consumers? How does this information influence pricing, promotions, and marketing strategies? And here is ShopRite's response. 9.1. The ShopRite Group remains committed to keeping prices as low as possible across all its supermarket brands. Despite challenging economic conditions, cost savings are passed on to customers wherever possible. 9.2. During financial year 2025, 13,300 items were in deflation for the full year. By December 2025, a record 14,400 products were cheaper than in December 2024, including double-digit price reductions across everyday staples. Internal food inflation also reached its lowest level in 7 years, as cost relief is passed on to the ShopRite Group's customers. See below graphic. 9.3. Notably, the ShopRite Group's internal selling price information has consistently been materially below the official food inflation rate. During the 2026 interim period, internal selling price inflation was just 0.7%, compared to Stats SA's official food inflation of 4.7%, the widest gap in 5 years. This confirms that the ShopRite Group is actively absorbing cost pressures rather than passing them on to consumers, behavior which is reflective of a very competitive grocery market in South Africa. There is then a graphic which is titled Consumers Win Amid Deflation Dilemma, and there are some graphs showing the gap between ShopRite prices and official food price inflation. A second figure follows. It's titled Building Long-Term Price Trust with Consumers, and it shows the amount of price reductions that ShopRite has compared to food inflation. 9.4. According to independent research published by Trade Intelligence, South Africa has one of the highest levels of promotional activity in the world, with a significant share of sales driven by specials and discounts. This confirms the highly competitive nature of the local food retail sector and the continued shift towards more value-conscious consumer behavior. 9.5. During the ShopRite Group's 2026 interim period, that's 26 weeks ended 28 December 2025, promotional participation exceeded 40% of sales, with promotional volumes increasing by 12.2%, indicating increased deal seeking across customer segments. For the 2025 financial year, 52 weeks ended 29 June 2025, promotional sales contributed 36.4% of total sales. That's compared to 35.3% in financial year 2024, with promotional volumes increasing by 6.9%. 9.6. This environment places ongoing pressure on margins and requires continuous investment in price and promotions. It also highlights the extent to which consumers actively seek value and the role competition plays in supporting affordability. 9.7. Food pricing is, however, influenced by factors beyond the control of retailers. South Africa's status as a net agricultural exporter does not equate to self-sufficiency across all food categories. The country generates trade surpluses by exporting selected high-value products such as fruit and wines and maize, but remains reliant on global markets to meet shortfalls in other staples. As a result, South Africa is a net importer of several key commodities, including virtually all of its rice requirements and more than half of its annual wheat demand. 9.8. Prices for staple inputs such as maize and wheat are determined on the South African Futures Exchange, SAFEX, and are affected by global market conditions and exchange rate movements. In addition, critical inputs such as diesel, fertilizer, and agricultural equipment are priced in US dollars, exposing the supply chain to international cost pressures and social economic factors like the war in Ukraine and more recently Iran, which created a sudden global inflation shock with rapidly increasing oil prices. Retail food prices therefore reflect a combination of input, manufacturing, logistics, energy, labor, and currency dynamics. These are external cost factors which ShopRite has to deal with in order to provide affordable food to the most vulnerable customers. 9.9. Approximately 2,460 products prices are independently surveyed on a weekly basis, and 109,945 are tracked in our competitor price repository across 14 competitors to monitor and maintain the ShopRite Group's competitive price positioning across its product range. 9.10. Within this context, the ShopRite Group continues to use its scale, efficiency, and operational capabilities to limit cost increases and ensure that affordable food remains accessible to millions of South Africans, a commitment that is central to its commercial strategy and its role in the food system. 9.11. As an example, since 2016, ShopRite has kept the price of its 600-gram in-house brown bread at just 5 Rand. This 5 Rand offering also includes subsidized daily meals, such as a protein-rich ox liver burger or a hard-boiled egg, as well as essential hygiene products like locally manufactured sanitary pads to help keep girls in school, a 2-in-1 shampoo and conditioner and body wash. These products are available daily across more than 710 ShopRite supermarkets nationwide, with approximately 1.8 million 5 Rand items subsidized each week to help protect household budgets and support food security in South Africa. There follows a graph which is titled What Can You Buy for 5 Rand and subtitled ShopRite sells nearly 600,000 loaves of bread a week for 5 Rand each. And the graph shows ShopRite's price fixed at 5 Rand, while other prices such as petrol and average bread prices across the sector rising across that period from 2016. There are then two photographs showing food counters in ShopRite stores.
Click Brain has been completely rebuilt. Meet Brain 2. Now, work is easy. All I have to do is ask what I should do next, and then it does it for me. And it suggests how it should do it. And the best part is, it already has context on my work because it lives inside my work. Now, I can do work from the beach.
Looking for a great car insurance deal? Look no further. For quality cover